My name is Shirley, and I will be your moderator tonight. I'm thrilled to welcome Amy Spalding as our speaker this evening. As the Director of Operations at eAssist Dental Solutions, Amy brings over 2 decades of experience in the dental industry, and she's been a true leader in the field. And again, tonight's webinar titled Maximizing Profitability, Revenue Cycle Management for Dentists. Before we get started, I'd like to just take a moment to go over some quick housekeeping. If you have a question, please type those questions into the chat box below, and we will address any questions at the end of tonight's webinar. CE is not available for this webinar. Bring it out the webinar to everyone who registered sometime over the following week. Okay, without further ado, Amy, welcome, and thank you for being with us tonight. I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Shirley. Good evening, everyone. As Shirley said, I'm Amy Spalding. I'm your host for tonight on maximizing profitability. So let's just jump right in and let's just talk about eAssist for a minute. I'd like to thank eAssist for allowing me to present to you tonight, and I want to tell you a little bit about them before we get into the meat of the presentation. eAssist invented optimized revenue cycle management and front office services for dentists. For more than 10 years, the eAssist platform has been putting money back in the pockets of the nation's dedicated dentists, reducing the stress of their teams and creating more reliable cash flow. eAssist platform is comprised of dental billing specialists serving over 2,300 dental offices and dental service organizations. Now, you'll see here that there's just some of the amazing words and recognitions that eAssist has received over the years. It is really impressive what all they've accomplished, but most impressive to me is the number to the right. To date, eAssist has collected more than $18 billion from insurance companies on behalf of dental practices all over the country. And let's talk a little bit about what eAssist Dental Solutions offers, right? We have their dental billing, of course, insurance and billing and aging. They have their patient portion statement and billing. So sending those statements out to your patients. Insurance verification and eligibility. This is a big one, right? Everybody wants to make sure that the patients that they're seeing and the patients want to know also that they have benefits for the visits. And then dental practice accounting and bookkeeping. We know that you have your accountant, but your bookkeeping and making sure that EFT matches your deposit at the bank and doing that reconciliation is very, very helpful for many of their clients. And then full schedule, where if you need patients on the schedule and you have a list of patients that are due to come in or have outstanding treatment, they're able to call those patients and get them on the schedule for you. Now, what we hope you've learned today is to distinguish between revenue cycle management and dental billing. Understand the key components of dental revenue cycle management and learn how to improve your processes to optimize revenue and increase your profitability. So let's start with that first one. Dental billing versus revenue cycle management. What is dental billing? So that's just submitting the claims to the insurance company in order to receive reimbursement. But as you see here, revenue cycle management is the step-by-step process that encompasses the whole billing cycle from the time that the insurance is given from the patient and verified, any patient payment and collections activity, your coding with those new CDT codes coming out. I think that there was over 86 new CDT codes in the last 3 years. And it's always good to know what those are and what type of information the carriers are needing to have those reimbursed if they are. Dental billing, of course, right? Kind of coming back and doing that claims to the insurance company, but then there's claims follow-up. What if they don't pay? Where is the claim? How much are you to expect? And then there's the claim appeal. When you think that you should have been paid something and the insurance is saying, hey, we need some more information, or hey, we're going to deny this because we don't see evidence. That claims appeal is very important. And then accounts receivable. Anything that's outstanding, making sure that if the insurance didn't pay, that is moved over to the patient, and the patient is really told why that happened, and explained what their copayment is and how to make payments to your office. So as you see here, it's very different. Now, this is what we call our revenue cycle management pipeline. This is how we see it. So you'll see here the patient schedules, insurance is verified, the patient is seen for their treatment, the treatment plan is presented, the patient schedules the treatment, or maybe does the treatment on the same day. I know many of you out there do same day dentistry. And then the patient copay is collected. Maybe that copay is collected before you do the treatment. A lot of different practices kind of do that one way or the other. The claim is sent correctly, which means it's clean, a clean claim. And then that claim is followed up on for payment if it hasn't been paid. The claim payment is posted timely. So if that payment has come in, we want to make sure that that is posted inside your dental software within 24 hours of hitting the bank, so that no one thinks it's outstanding or that patient might have a balance. And then any additional balance collected from the patient, that AR review, looking at it, making sure what is the patient's copay, and any type of fee schedule adjustment. So let's talk about the revenue cycle management components now. And this was our second point, and that is that insurance verification. Verifying benefits upfront allows for transparency and cost of treatment. I ask this in live presentations all the time, but how many of you believe that the patients know what their benefits are? No, right? They expect us to know what they are in the office. So don't expect the patients to know their coverage details. They often don't. Take time to verify the coverage details. Make sure that if there's providers here or office managers here on the call tonight, as you're setting that patient up for that appointment, as that patient is sat on the chair ready for the treatment, you're going to want to verify those coverage details. And everything from, what is covered and what is not, to the percentage amounts, and just make sure that everything is squared away. So that lack of verification can lead to patients being, those darn Google reviews, and saying, I was told one thing, but it ended up being something else. So really knowing what that insurance verification is, and then patient payment collections. Always try to, the best of your ability, collect at the time of service. Implement a standard operating procedure for your team, and make sure that they're aware of what payments are due when they're prepping that care slip the day before, 2 days before, that they know how much that patient owes that day or what that patient's account balance might be. Those route slips, your morning huddles, patient transfers, and balance due reports all really come in handy. And everyone has different software out there and different ways that they use it. But if you're utilizing that every day and making it part of your morning, that patient payment collections, your patient AR will definitely be a healthy patient AR. And then really being transparent about the estimated or confirmed copay, it builds trust with the patients. One thing that many patients say about those offices that are have patient billing with eAssist is they know what the patient copay was going to be. And if something happened on the back end, that the eAssist team was so great at explaining what had happened and making it convenient for that patient to pay. So that's something to think about too. Then there's the CDT coding. There's 24. Oh gosh, they updated this slide for me just the other day. And I forgot, yes, there's 24 changes coming in 2025, everyone. And it's really great to use the up-to-date resources to navigate those and know which codes, mean what now, especially with our new Profi codes from a few years now, and determine what's the applicable code for you to bill for the procedures that you're doing. What we find is that incorrect coding, of course, leads to denials and requires appeals. And almost 60% of dental offices don't appeal their claims. And, we want to avoid that. And we want to make sure that you're getting paid the first time. So using those CDT codings and knowing what they are is really what sets apart high-performing offices around their collectible revenue and non-performing offices around their collectible revenue. You also want to avoid upcoding. The coding a procedure with a more serious CDT code, as this is considered insurance fraud. And no one likes to talk about that F word, right? And we just want to make sure that we're saying to you that if you have a question on which code should be used, these CDT code books are really great. eAssist has that billing team that knows which codes and can come alongside you as a clinician to say, and help choose which code is the more appropriate to use. And then there is actually doing the dental billing. And that requires attention to every detail. You have to ensure that the patient's name, their date of birth, and those are getting more and more, challenging as we have more names that we go by than are our legal names or our medical record names. The addresses and patients moving, and making sure all of that is up to date when that patient comes in for a new patient appointment, but also checking in and making sure that they still are with the same employer, right? And making sure that they have the same insurance. One of the tips that many of our clients use, and I know that we coach to the front office with our coaching, is that we're asking the patients, are they still working for the company that they're working for? So if my patient came into the office and her name was Anne, I would welcome Anne. I'd say, hi, Anne, welcome to the practice. Thanks for coming in for your appointment. Are you still working at Boeing? One, it tends to make that patient feel like we know about them, and it starts a great conversation about work. But if Anne isn't working for Boeing anymore, she probably doesn't have the Boeing insurance, right? And that's better than saying to Anne, hey, has anything changed with your insurance? How many of you answer that? No, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed because they're coming in either as a patient for Profi or treatment. And we just want to make sure each and every time, even if we saw them 2 weeks ago, that we're asking about that in some way. And then we want to make sure that we're submitting those claims daily. There's more and more carriers that are, putting a shorter time frame on the amount of time you have to submit a claim and to appeal a claim. So you just want to make sure those are going out But more importantly is your revenue being healthy and the AR not sitting there without being in process. Then we have our claim follow-up. This is completed. Insurance carrier hold times are average, 30 to 60 minutes. I don't know about you all, but I've been hearing from many of our clients, and they definitely come to us and say, I don't know what to do. My staff is on hold to check the status of a claim for 30 to 60 minutes. Or we went into the portal and we don't see the claim. So we had to call to say, do you have the claim on file? And making sure that you have someone that's dedicated to this each and every day reduces aging on the accounts receivable. It brings cash flow, real, just true bottom line dollars into the practice so that you can pay the bills and you can pay the staff. But the most common reasons for delay or denial is that wrong information being submitted, that there's waiting periods or frequencies that we didn't catch on that insurance breakdown of benefits, and the CDT coding and unreadable documentation. We want to make sure that when you're also sending in these narratives and documents and your perio chartings and all of that, I know that we're very high electronic, but there are some of you out there that are still doing things by hand, and you want to make sure that to the best that you can, that it's legible. So this is where claims appeals come in now through our process, and approximately 33% of denied insurance claims go unappealed. Now, you have a limited window in which you can submit appeals, and the EOB with the denial reason is sent to the patient, who will know if the claim is not appealed and may lose trust in the practice. That's one of the big ones that people in practices, especially doing the revenue cycle, seem to miss, and that is the patient gets a copy of everything that we get. So when the insurance carrier is asking for additional documentation, the patient can have that understanding of, oh, why didn't they send it the first time? And did they not know what to send? Do they really know what to send? And it kind of loses that trust from the patient. So what we want to do in those cases also is we want to give a quick call or email or text. I know we do a lot of text messaging with our patients now, to just say, hey, we received a denial from your insurance Blue Cross, but we know what we did was appropriate and coded right, and that we sent everything. So we are going to appeal it on your behalf. That then makes that patient feel like, oh, my dental team, they have my back. They know what's going on, and they're going to get that money from my carrier. And so to implement dental insurance best practices in order to minimize this, of course, is great and needed, but also having that communication with the patient so that they're just not, they're getting the communication from the insurance company, right? They also need to get that added conversation from the clinician. Accounts receivable. So now we have our payment, and we want to post those daily. And we want to post those daily because we learned in the process right now that somebody should be calling on those outstanding claims. And if I'm calling on something that has a payment that just came in, but we only posted the end of the week or at the end of the month, regularly working the accounts receivable will generate consistent cash flow. You'll know what's coming and what to expect. If you adhere to that effective billing processes, it forces that consistency. Put priority on the outstanding balances nearing that 90-day mark. It almost is 40%, where if the insurance claim is past 90 days old, it reduces that likelihood of that claim getting paid by almost 40%. So we want to make sure if we're getting there, we're really saying we know where that is. We followed up on it. We talked to Becky at Blue Cross and she told us it's in the system and it's just going to second stage, or they found it, right? But let's talk a little more now about the third point that we were going to go over this evening, and that's optimizing the revenue and increasing your profitability. And this is where everything that we talked about is something that can be offered by eAssist to help your team. It's a full suite of revenue cycle services. If you're interested in that, of course, we're here to help. But one of the things to think about as an office manager, one of the things to think about as an owner of the practice or a clinician of the practice is, do I have a dedicated place for my team to go do this full suite of revenue cycle services? Do I have somewhere or a time where they can do this insurance billing and put that goal of 90 days insurance account balances are at 0? And if not, what can we do to help them get there, right? Can eAssist come in as an additional staff member to your team that has this dedicated place and understanding, and just really help work those accounts for you? Or do you have a place in the practice where you can have your team go on certain days or each day and work that dental insurance billing? These are the eAssist Dental. One option, of course, is streamlining this dental process and help ensure that there is never a pause or delay in revenue. I always like to say, hey, office managers, how nice would it be to take some time off or even a sick day without coming back to a stack of EOBs waiting for you, right? eAssist comes in and helps support that office manager. And right now, I know across the country, it is hard to find talent. So we are here to help. We also have, these are the billing promises to you, okay? And as you see them, just think like if you could get collected 100% of what's rightfully owed, and just that everything's going to be followed up in at least every 10 business days, if you just got that, oh, wow, right? But you get these other clean claims are going out. We're going to post all the payments. You get your insurance near 0, right? And keep it there. What would that mean to your revenue and your ability to really focus on those patients that are coming in the practice? Now, there is the next one, which is patient billing, right? We can also help get paid from the patients with balances. And then there's the insurance verification. We can increase cash flow and decreased amounts of receivable and eliminating unpleasant surprises for patients. Let the eAssist insurance platform give you that peace of mind when it comes to knowing what specific details for your patient's insurance coverage at the time of treatment planning. I'm sure docs, if you went and asked your staff today, if there was one thing that they just like, what's the one thing that's just, as the kids call it, ick? It gives them the ick, right? Like, what is that? And that is getting a breakdown of benefits and eligibility for patients and making sure that all of that's taken care of. We can do that at eAssist for you through our platform. And let's just talk about what that is. You know, we complete all the verifications, and this data entry will input all the coverages and percentages and everything into your practice management software. And we're going to verify that all the information on that form is filled out completely. And we're going to attach the breakdown of how we got it in the practice management software and ensure that it's labeled correctly. This really helps too when there's ever a denial from an insurance carrier to be able to go back and say, I've got the data that you told me, and I'd really like us to look at this again. And if you have a team behind you doing this and you have receipts, so to speak, right? There's also non-data entry where we can just upload it into your system just as that PDF in a HIPAA secured folder. And then the office would then access the shared folder to retrieve that information as they're doing their treatment. But either way, for us to be able to get it for you offers up that time for one-on-one interaction between you and the patient, and being able to call patients and get them on their schedule instead of calling insurances and trying to get breakdowns or going to websites and trying to get breakdowns. Something that we know is really important to our clients today, 2,300 of them, is that there is detailed reporting for transparency. I know a lot of clinicians have dental intel, and their practice management software has reports that they can pull, but this is served up to you. And this is our production collection, your collection ratio, outstanding claims, outstanding insurance receivables, outstanding patient account receivables, and so much more on this daily report that some of our clients definitely will take this. We send it at the end of the day. They'll take it into the next day's huddle and talk it over. Managers, when your docs or your owners come and say, hey, tell us how everything's going. This daily report, and there's a monthly report at the end that kind of rolls up the whole month, is really useful and something to think about as an addition that you get with coming onto that eAssist platform. Well, team, we do have a free bonus time. We wanted to thank you for joining our webinar today. So we have this amazing free resource to help you submit clean claims. So if you can scan where it says scan me, it's free for everyone. I'll leave it up here for a moment, and just really, just as we highlighted at the beginning of this program, eAssist provides peace of mind to dentists through increased revenue and decreased denials, but also in a myriad of other ways, right? Continuing education on our on-demand platform that we didn't even talk about, that's called Dental Zing, as well as publications and training through Practice Booster, which is a sister company of ours. And we care, we really do. And because we know what it's like when we struggle to focus on the patient standing in front of us, every one of our team members has worked in a dental office, and we know what that feels like, where you're trying to decide, should I stay on the phone with this insurance company, or do I stay and check in the patient in front of me, or let me get out of this website and back into it. And the struggle to focus on that patient standing in front of us, or doing what we need on the revenue cycle side, it leaks into that revenue cycle management. We're always going to pick the patient first, right? All of you. And we've made a commitment to pull you out of that and get you back on solid ground to do what you do best, right? Provide the quality dentistry and experience to your patients. And what ends up happening, we find, is that your patients can't help but feel that. So then they're referring their friends and family to you. And we just wanted to let you know that eAssist is more than just dental billing. We really are here to help and bring that peace of mind to dentists. That's our goal. And so this is where I hand it back over to Shirley now. And it was nice, so nice spending this time with all of you. And if you have questions, now would be the time to enter those in. And I'm sure Shirley has a few for us, or they'll come in later and Shirley will get them to us. But Shirley, I'm ready when you are.
Thank you so much, Amy. That was a wonderful presentation, and thank you for bringing us back to this page so that our audience members can scan the QR code to learn more about the complimentary consultation at any point during the Q&A session. And while we wait for some questions, what are some, please everyone, go ahead and enter your questions into the chat box. Time, Amy, if you could tell us what are some other commonly asked questions about the process of working with eAssist?
Yeah, a lot of it is right. That comes to mind first that it isn't here in the slide deck is cost. So I want to let you all know it's very transparent at eassist.com to see all the cost. It is based on collections. So unlike a fixed cost of having a team member in your office to help your office manager do the billing, we are a variable cost. Whatever you collect, we take a percentage. And in that, then the more you collect and the more we collect for you, the more we get. So there's incentive there also for us to collect more.
This question coming in is from Natalie Freire. Are there any tools you recommend to keep on top of this info?
Yes, the Coding with Confidence books from Practice Booster and the administration with confidence books from Practice Booster are fantastic. That is our sister company. So what we're able to do as our dental billers is it is on our platform, it's integrated. So if something needs a narrative or an x-ray, if something needs periochart, if some two codes aren't to be together or unbundled, on our platform, it tells our biller. There's a pop-up that tells it. But that's what makes us super efficient at what we do and the ability to get through so many claims and make sure that they're clean. However, for your team, the books, right? There's paper books, but there's also ebooks now. And those ebooks are great, especially when you're coming into something where maybe it's a procedure you don't do a lot, right? But you want to make sure, are you using the right codes? And are you giving the insurance carrier what they need? And are you charting in your clinical notes what you may need just, legally? If there was ever a patient grievance. And so those books, come in handy. And it's written in such a language that's like, oh, I get it. I understand. It's not this very high clinical level. It's very administrative. That would be what I would recommend.
While we wait for other questions to come in, I will say I thought it was interesting your point about how patients to a dentist's office are receiving the same information back from the insurance company. That was a really good point. And does eAssist work with, or do you recommend ever for the dental practice to reach out to the patient to let them know, hey, we're on top of this? Or is there ever any communication? Because often that seems to the patient's kind of just wondering what's going on, and it's kind of stressful.
Yeah, it's such a point, Shirley, that a lot of our clients when I say it, have that same reaction, right? Or when we do these webinars, we have team member or, or attendees that have that same reaction, like, oh yeah, they get that EOB. They get the request for additional information. They see that their treatment plan that you gave them said that, and this is mostly engineers, I'll say that, working in dental practices, as long as I have those engineers, they want everything to equal out to the penny. So if you're really giving them a treatment plan and it says insurance is going to pay $852, and then they see the EOB come back and insurance paid $400, they're probably calling you. And it's always best when you get those EOBs and something is different than what you said to the patient, either good or bad, right? Maybe we said insurance was going to pay $460 and they paid $820. You want to give them a call and say, hey, we're auditing the account. It looks like insurance has paid more. And this is where we coach to say, good news. Insurance paid more for that. So now we get to do your other treatment. And your out-of-pocket expense is going to be lower, right? Instead of just running straight to that refund of, and we can refund you the money. If that patient has outstanding treatment, we want to use that money of their out-of-pocket for that. So yes, Shirley, anytime our patient billing service, when our dental billing service gets the EOBs and posts that payment, if there is a difference, then our patient billing team gets that the very next day and makes those calls to the patients to explain what has happened or maybe what is needed. Yeah.
Wow, that's a really great point. Thank you for that. And this next question from Vincent Johnson, are you able to follow up on claims from a non-participating office?
Absolutely. It's a bit different. Some of the, portals are for providers. However, always the toll-free numbers, the fax backs will always be able to track a insurance claim being submitted and being able to be followed up. And because we do this for so many clients, we have specific team members who know which numbers to use for what and what portals to use for what. And the same with appeals, right? This goes for everybody, whether you're in network or out of network. If you get a claim and it is denied, the address that you sent the claim to originally most likely has a different address for you to appeal it to. And a lot of our, newer team members, I'll say it like that, newer team members in dental offices will send that appeal back to the original address, and the insurance carrier has 30 days to respond. And then they respond 29 days later and say, hey, you should send it over here to this address. But those are the things that we know because we do it all of the time, all day, every day, where we can become more efficient and be able to collect more in less time for you than maybe your office, where we want the office to be front and center for your patients. I hope that answers your question there.
There we go. Thank you. Well, at this time, we don't have any other. Oh, and Vincent Johnson also says yes, thank you. So, yeah. At this time, we don't have any other questions that are coming in, but let us know if there are any other areas that you want to revisit or that you think expand on.
Yeah, I think that's it from my side. And I think what Shirley said there and maybe just broke up just a little bit is if you have anything else, please reach out with this scan. We're happy to do a complimentary consult and learn more or answer any questions that you might have as you're thinking it through too, right? We're full of knowledge and we want to help. So please do that. And you all have a good rest of your night. Bye now.
Thank you so much, Amy, for a wonderful presentation. Yes, we want to thank everyone who attended tonight for joining us. And again, we did record tonight's webinar, and we will email that recording link out sometime over the following week, over the next week. We'd appreciate your feedback via our survey that's going to pop up on your screens shortly. Thank you all again for joining us.